What is up, my friends? How are we? As promised, we are back with a late night agenda where, of course, we're going to try pick the bones out of that game, see where we're at with regards to the rest of the season, talk about the latest Liverpool news, contract situations, and everything else in between. Appreciate you all coming back in to join me. Thank you. I know it's been a frustrating day. It has, and maybe it's old age catching up with me or not, but I just want to keep an eye on the bigger picture, right? I just want to remind everybody that going into this weekend, before anyone kicked the ball, we were potentially 6 points clear of Arsenal and a game in hand. And we're still in that position. And it's another game week gone. But I'm not going to sit here and try to tell anybody not to feel annoyed by that game or by some performances in it. Because you've every right to feel annoyed and feel frustrated by it. And I too am frustrated by it. And of course, we'll talk about that. I've got some quotes from Arne Slot, which I want to talk about because I disagree with some of what Arne had to say. And I want to give you guys a chance to vent as well. But what I will say to you is, if you always are because you're great people, but be respectful of each other. Get your point across. Be as honest and sincere as you'd like or be as blunt as you want. But, always keep it respectful to each other and we'll all be grand. Now, you may have noticed that we haven't been playing Surfshark ads and videos or previews and stuff for the last couple of games because we're trying to give you guys a break from it. And we understand in 8-minute videos and stuff, when you throw in an ad read on top of it, people can get frustrated with it. So we've held off on that. But I am going to have to play a Surfshark ad in a moment, and I hope everybody understands that. We limit as much as we can, but, we are still very grateful to our sponsors. So what I'm going to do now is give you guys a bit of a flavour again of what Surfshark is about, play the video, and then I'll be back in 83 seconds and we'll get stuck into it. So bear with me, and again, thank you to our sponsor Surfshark. Hope it gives you some insight into what Surfshark is all about, and I will see you guys back in 83 quick seconds. You can count them. Right, where are we? There we go. This video is sponsored by Surfshark, the best VPN on the market. Surfshark is an app or browser extension that allows you to change your location to access websites in other countries and keep you safe and secure from hackers. Using Surfshark, we here in Ireland can access other countries' Netflix libraries or other streaming platforms like DAZN in Spain for all those important Premier League games. Surfshark keeps you safe and private by protecting everything you do online. Everything. When your device connects to the internet, all that information is, in a way, blurred out. Surfshark is particularly useful for keeping you safe from being hacked if you use public Wi-Fi. Let's say you're in a cafe, you're at college, you're out and about, they've got you covered. Surfshark allows you to use one subscription on unlimited devices, meaning you can share your account with friends or family or that neighbour who's a little bit cheap. On top of all of this, Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee. You can also upgrade to Surfshark One, which includes the VPN, an alert system for breaches related to your data, such as emails and credit cards, and an antivirus software for your desktop. Our sign-up offer gives you Surfshark VPN for a little over €2 a month. Simply scan the QR code. Right, guys, we are back, and thank you for your patience, and thank you, of course, as well to our sponsors, Surfshark. Latif, let me bring up your super chat, bro, because I agree with most of what you say here, my man, but I would disagree a little bit. So you said the Premier League isn't won and lost in game week 20, need to continue. It isn't won, you're right, but it can be lost in game week 20 or in game week 19 or 18-17. You can lose a league title before the turn of the year, but you can't win one. That's fair enough. Look, I would look at it like this. It was a fustercluck today, and I'm as angry and frustrated as everybody because the performance wasn't good enough all around. The energy levels weren't good enough. The press wasn't good enough. Individual performances weren't good enough. The manager wasn't good enough in his reaction and what he did, and that's fine. But what I don't want to see is people going the other direction. Because I've seen people and had people message me since the game ended to go, well, Arsenal are going to be full of confidence now. How? Because, yeah, we dropped points. Absolutely we did. But so did they. And we dropped points in a rivalry game against United, which we should have been looking to win, don't get me wrong. But they're going to Brighton and dropping more soft points. So I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater and for people to think that the title race is blown wide open. Nothing has changed this weekend. Quite literally nothing. We're as we were before the weekend. So, yeah, it wasn't good enough. And I'm going to go through all of that in plenty of detail tonight. Don't worry. But don't be losing the plot or anything. Don't be getting too far ahead of yourselves. We are still in the box seat. And rightly so. And I'm very, 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 very confident we go and win this league title. After that, like I've always said, don't know what happens in the Champions League, don't know what happens in the FA Cup, but we're in the box seat. And I tell you what, every other club and their fans right now would love to be in the position that we're in. So it was a draw. It was, look, again, being honest, it was probably a deserved draw based off the 90 minutes. If you remove the emotion of how we feel as Liverpool fans, how they feel as United fans, and look at the game, it was probably a fair result based off what we'd seen. Daniel said, do you think we underestimated Man United? Hard to answer, Daniel, but if the answer was yes, right, I would say I hope we clearly had learned lessons from last year then, because we did that last year again and underestimated them. But today, I don't know. There was lapses, there was some good stuff. I just don't think we were aggressive enough, is what I would say at times today. And it makes it a little bit frustrating because we had a week off. Like, Arne Slot gave some of these boys 2-3 days off and we look leggy. And we didn't look like we know we can. So there are questions to be asked, absolutely. And I'm not sitting here trying to defend that performance one bit. It wasn't good enough. But we need to react to it. And that's all we can do. You can't get the points back. We can't change anything. All that we look for now is solutions. Now, in saying all of that, and I feel that I've had my fair share of being nice about it, I want to get blunt about it now as well. I feel comfortable in saying this. I don't want to see Trent Alexander-Arnold on the pitch again until he knows what his contract situation is. Because the one thing that stuck in my throat through all of this situation, whether it's the media, whether it's the manager, whether it's anybody else, trying to tell us that these lads are professionals and that these situations don't get in their heads. And I keep saying the same thing to you guys on every stream. These people are human. I don't care how professional you think they are. This thing gets in their heads. It does. It is. Salah said it. Trent's performance shows it. The contract situations are going to be a distraction. They are going to be looming over us until they're resolved. And they need to be resolved. So, anything that says anything to the contrary to that, I think they're just kidding themselves. Because Ruben Amorim's team did alright there today. But I want to talk about what Arne Slot said about Trent. Because he was speaking about what we're talking about right now. The contracts being a distraction or not. And he doesn't think they are. This is what he had to say. I don't believe in those things, but I think it's 9 out of 10 people will tell you it affected him. But I am one of the 10 that tells you that I don't think it did affect him. Well, Arne, let me tell you, my friend, you're wrong. You're very wrong. You've been right about a lot. You will be right about a lot moving forward. You're a great coach. We love you dearly. But you're wrong on this one. If you don't think that the contract situation is in that lad's head after that performance, I very much disagree. He goes on to speak about other things, and I'm going to read that out now. He said what affected him is that he had to play Bruno Fernandes and Diogo Dalot, which are 2 starters for Portugal. Great, great players. We have a fantastic player here in Diogo Jota, and he's not even playing for Portugal. Mostly he's not playing, so that tells you how much quality United has. And if these players set themselves to a game, and that is what United do once in a while, that's very difficult to play against them. So, all of that from Arne Slot doesn't explain Trent walking around with his hands on his hips. All of that from Arne Slot doesn't explain Trent Alexander-Arnold not being arsed to put in a challenge. All of that from Arne Slot doesn't explain why Trent won 0 of his duels. I think that is very much our manager, for the first time, sticking his fingers in his ears and going, la 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 la. And I get it. He can't come out and slaughter his players publicly. But he has to know that's not right. We all seen it. The crowd seen it. Us watching the game seen it. United fans seen it. The media seen it. The pundits seen it. Everybody seen that Trent didn't show up today. So, saying otherwise, I think Arne Slot is just fooling himself. And I don't know if he's trying to get us to believe it, but I'm not going to believe it because Trent Alexander-Arnold's head was gone. And that's me being honest about it. If people disagree with that, absolutely we can talk about that. That is your preference. But I didn't like that from our manager today because let's call a spade a spade. Nobody wants to throw the lad under the bus. Nobody wants to say that it's the be-all and end-all of everything. But let's say what we've seen. And what we've seen today was an unacceptable performance from a local fella who wants to captain this club and didn't look like he was bothered out there today. That's what we've seen. And the manager to say anything else, I just don't think it's true. I suppose Slot's not want to throw Trent under the bus. Hey, look, I get that, Lee. And I've got no issue with that. But he also has to take responsibility for by leaving Trent on, we drop points. Trent should have been off earlier. A lot earlier. You know it and I know it. The people inside Anfield knew it. Trent should have been pulled off at half time and if not at 60 minutes. To let him stay on the pitch till 85 minutes, I think it sends the wrong message. And I get the idea, and by the way, people are maybe coming into the chat and they're going to say, but Craig, Trent's a player that can change a game. I hear you, but remember something. We went 2-1 ahead. Game didn't need changing at that point. We needed to make sure we seen it out. And as Virgil said, and I agree, and I'll speak about it in a minute, we needed to keep the ball more. We needed to shore ourselves up and leave less gaps. We needed to take less risks. We needed to manage the game better. And we didn't do that with Trent on the pitch. So I think Arne has to look inwardly on this one. Right, a couple more to get through. Dave, how are you, bro? Dave said, I agree that Trent had a terrible game. Also, so slow on the turn. I find it disgusting that the fans are quick to get rid of him after one bad game, seeing how incredible he's been for years. But Dave, with all due respect, and you can't label that at me, because I haven't said anything near as toxic as some of the stuff I've read about Trent today. I've tried to be measured in it. I've said bench him till he sorts out his contract. I think that's fair, because it's in his head. But also, as much as I get what you're saying about fans going in on Trent, he has caused a lot of it. He has. It's all very well and good saying you're staying silent and all, but as has been pointed out by many pundits and journalists, when the narrative has been seized by Madrid and our club has been made to look weak and our club has been undermined, Trent has to speak up. So I never want to see things get too toxic, Dave, but Trent needs to take ownership of some of this as well, and we need to stop treating everyone with kid gloves, because these are grown-ass people who are getting paid a lot of money, and you shouldn't need to be G'd up to go in and play against United. That was an unacceptable performance that needs calling out. There are ways to do it, Dave, I get you, but it needs calling out. Shane, how are you? Said, in reflection, it was a great game. Could have gone either way, but I still think we deserve to win just for the first time this season. I'm proud of my team. So, I don't think you deserve to win. I don't think you deserve to lose. I think a draw was probably the fair result, Shane. What I haven't gotten too much conversation around is, you know, the chance at the end for Maguire. I could be wrong on this, but I feel like Xerxes was offside and it would have been pulled back anyway, so I don't think that chance that everybody's talking about and that frightened me at the time, I don't think that would have stood. I may be wrong on that. I haven't seen it back. Just my initial thoughts were that Xerxes was a smidgen offside. But either way, the game at the end, you know what? David Lynch in his match summary, I think, spoke about this well. They dragged us down to their level. I think that's the fairest way of describing that there today. And also I agree with what David Lynch said about Luis Diaz against the back three probably not being as impactful in the centre forward role when the way it was played than maybe against the back four. So yeah, that's my initial thoughts on it, having again tried to process it since the game's finished. Brian Atkinson said, Gravenberg could do with a rest, but clearly Slot doesn't rate Endo. And this, my friend, is why I have been banging the drum for long and hard about bringing in this midfielder, for the very thing you've said. Because Ryan will end up getting injured, or his form will naturally dip because he's been overplayed, and we need somebody there. And I get people want Endo, but we also have to accept reality in that the manager just doesn't rate Endo in this position. Rightly or wrongly, whatever we think doesn't really matter. So we need to get somebody in that he does trust. Because today it was the best and worst of us. It was the best of us that we found answers, that we responded. We went 1-0 behind. We quickly equalised, got into it, got a penalty, went ahead. But we didn't see it out. And we could have lost it. So I would say, where did the lethargicness come from today? Where was the press today? It's just so many things that didn't look like us out there. But that's okay. It is one game. But, you know, when it's against the old enemy, these things hurt a bit more. What I would say is, I thought Ibu, for being 6 weeks out, I thought he did well. I thought that Bradley looked good when he came on. I think Maka can hold his head high. I thought Gravenberch was okay. Jones wasn't great at all. Both fullbacks, I think we've got questions about. And I want to say this, and again, you won't hear me say this very often, but I wasn't overly convinced by Alisson today. I thought, and in the last couple of games, I'm seeing him punching things I'd want him catching, to be honest with you. His handling wasn't his normal brilliant best. Now, could have been some of the conditions, I get that. But, you know, I got to be honest about what I seen, and I wasn't 100% convinced by him either today. No press today, and we were weak. We had a week off as well, said Stevie. Yes, and that's galling, isn't it? When you do have a week off, and you look tired when you're going out there, at home, in a massive game. Trent looks like this new offer has screwed his leaving plans, like he knows it now looks like the villain and all of this. Well, you see, Aaron, what have I always said about the staying silent thing? You know, I don't credit myself a lot of the time, but sometimes I feel I have to. I've always said that it's great, Trent staying silent if he stays, but if he doesn't stay, that goes in one direction. And that direction is you look like a villain. Because you look like you never had any intention of staying. So I think that this offer the club have put in is a clever one. Because now it is all on Trent. And if he says no to 300 grand a week, we have our answer. But I think he's always had his head in Madrid, if I'm being honest. That's what I've said all the way through this. I don't know it for a fact. Because none of us can know that for a fact. But it's not acceptable. You want 300 grand a week. You got to do what Mohamed Salah does, which is show up every week. Mick Anderson said, Trent is a liability. The contract will cost us. Yeah. And look, again, people tell me I overreact a lot of the time, Mick. But I can see this shit coming. Because it's human nature. And nobody's going to change human nature. Players are inherently selfish. They have to be. You don't get to the level these guys are at without having a selfish streak in you. Whether that's about your contract or looking after your career. So it's up to other people to make some of the tough decisions for them. And on the contract situations, this narrative that has been spun that they aren't a distraction, that everybody inside the club are calm about it, I've never bought into it. I've never believed it. Because it isn't rational. Of course the contracts are going to be a distraction. Mohamed Salah told you as much. And I don't believe in coincidences. And I don't think that it's a coincidence that after a big story breaks about Trent and his contract and a big offer, that he puts in a dog shit performance. I don't want to be told by my manager that it was nothing to do with the contracts. That it was to do with Bruno Fernandes and Diogo Dalot. I'm not having it. His head wasn't in it. His heart wasn't in it. It was clear. That has to be addressed. Because sometimes a firm hand is what's needed. And not blowing smoke up people's arses all the time. Because that just ends up in pampered prima donnas. And I don't like it. It's not on Arne though. Did I say it was? It's on Arne that he came out and said, and maybe you missed what I said, but that he didn't think it affected Trent today. That he doesn't think it was the contracts that affected him today. He said and admitted 9 out of 10 people will probably say it is, but he's somebody that doesn't. Now, I'm sorry, but that is on Arne. And also leaving him on the pitch and not taking him off to the 85th minute is on Arne today. And it's okay. We love Arne. He's made very few, if any, mistakes. But that was a mistake today, and he needs to learn from it. We can't have a situation where anybody is undroppable. Don't care who they are. Trent, Virgil, Mo, Alisson, don't care. If you're not putting in a performance, if you're not working hard enough and deserving to wear the shirt, then you get benched. And nobody should be above that. And Trent's performance today was more than enough to deserve to be pulled at half-time. Mark, I would love to hear the locker room at full time. Well, I think Virgil's face painted the picture. And some of Virgil's comments towards his defence and his players around him paints a picture. Because he wasn't happy. Sonny Hughes said Trent should be benched. Not for the contract situation, but for that performance. He needs to see his competition. Well, let's talk about his competition. Because we had Conor Bradley come on today for 12 minutes, I think, including stoppage time. And showed more fight for me. And showed more effort in those 12 minutes than I've seen from Trent. So, even if we're just going off what we've seen today, at the very least, I expect Conor Bradley playing against Spurs midweek. At the very least. Deservedly. Because he now should be the man playing in that position till Trent sorts his head out. And if Trent stays, brilliant. Let's hope it's put behind him and we don't see any more performances like that. If he doesn't stay, then the problem becomes bigger again, like I've mentioned. Now, tell me this. After seeing that today from Trent, right? Do you think if he comes out next week and says, I'm going to Madrid in the summer, you're still going to trust him to give 100% between now and the end of the season? I've tried to say I never would. Not just him, anybody. I've tried to back up my argument over and over again by saying it's human nature. You won't put your body on the line. You won't run the hard yards. You won't play through the pain barrier. You just won't fucking do it when you know you have a big contract there. And everybody was telling me I was wrong. Everybody was telling me, no, he's a professional. He's a human. He's a human. And humans do human things. And humans feel things. So, I'm not saying you drop Trent for the rest of the season. But I am saying, if he's off and he knows he's off, I don't feel I can trust him as much as I would have previously. Harry said, no, I wouldn't fully agree. Well then, please feel free, mate, to send me your comment on why you disagree and we'll talk about it, no problem. Where have we got? Sorry, I'm trying to play catch up with people here to make sure I don't miss. I'm not sure if I brought this one up from Sonny. I think I have. Yep, I did. I've done that one. Then Block said, missed the last 10 minutes, so disappointed with the draw. And thank you, mate, for being with us as a member for 4 months as well. Vernon said, Trent and Robbo will cost us the title. Well, over the course of the season, Vernon, if I'm being honest with you, I think there's more fault on Robbo than there has been on Trent. You know, Trent today and maybe one more game this season, I felt like he was nowhere near it. But overall, I think Andy Robertson's been a bigger problem for us this season, if I'm being, honest about that. Trent has the ability to be amazing. We've seen it. But again, I think today just at least needs to show people that it is a distraction. Love you, Craig. My ideal window is Kirkes and Zubamendi. Well, thank you, Spencer. Much love to you as well, bro. Be a good window, alright. I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't. I'm looking forward to chatting with David Lynch tomorrow because I want to ask David his opinion on the contract situation and on the Zubamendi stuff. David, LFC96, said, I thought Trent was awful today. Trent is already in Spain, just awful. I don't care what contract you're after. When you wear the shirt of Liverpool, you play for the shirt. End of story. Yep. And locals have a duty to make sure that they leave it all out there in games like this. When you're Trent and you're Jones, you're the two scousers out on that pitch today, you have a duty to make sure you leave it all out there. Because they know what it means. They know what it means to the fans. They know what it means when they were growing up in school as well. They know what this game's about. And Jones just had a poor game. But I wouldn't say he lacked in effort. Just had a poor game. But Trent, some of that, just look at their goal. Look at their first goal. Watch that back and just follow Trent. Nothing else. Just follow Trent and you'll see what I mean. Just too lackadaisical. No effort. Shocking. Just shocking. Stood there while everyone ran past them. Craig, after taking time to chill, I've convinced myself that we can do stuff this season. But why do we use transfer windows as obstacles? Well, look, to play devil's advocate, Ryan, I guess to that a little bit, mate. We're 5 days into the window, so I don't know how the rest of the window plays out. You know, I'm hopeful, not optimistic, but I'm hopeful that we do something. But you are right. Like, we shouldn't even be sitting here talking about the contract. It should have been done. So, you know, the longer this goes on, this line or this narrative of it's not a distraction isn't going to wash with fans anymore. It is on the club now to get this sorted out. Come what may, whatever the outcomes are, it needs to be resolved quickly. And yeah, we do need to look to the market now as well, because we can't just drag out another window, as you've rightly pointed out, just talking about contracts. We need to be proactive here as well. We have a deficiency in our squad, maybe 2 or 3. It needs to be addressed. I keep forgetting it's a window. I know, it's easy to forget, Joseph. It's easy, mate, because we're so distracted ourselves as fans by constant speculation about will they, won't they, how much money, what's it looking like. I get it. But we're in a window that they've had time to plan for. And we're in a window that, if all's to be believed, Marmouche is available. Zubimendi wants to move to the Premier League. So there, to me now, there's no excuses for us not to go out there and try to make something happen. It'll tell us how, in my opinion, how serious the owners are. Because I've been reading stuff about promises being made from John W. Henry to the Red Sox fans. And the Red Sox are going to get more of the attention and focus. And they're making a big play to try and make the Red Sox winners again. That doesn't sit well with me as a Liverpool fan. And I get it, Red Sox fans probably feel Liverpool have had more of their attention, vice versa. I don't give a shit. I want my owners to be focused on the club that they have. One of the biggest clubs in sporting history. And if they don't want to be here and commit to doing everything for it, then off you pop. And you find somebody else to buy it from you. There was a question that I said, do you think we beat Forest away? Well, if there's one game that we shouldn't need to be talked into being up for, it should be the only team to beat us in the Premier League this season. So they shouldn't even need a team talk for that game. It should be, go put right what you didn't put right on the day at Anfield and go out there to the City Ground and get 3 points. But we've a way to go to that. We've got a midweek game against Forest in the League Cup, which, by the way, Darwin's got himself suspended for with his stupid yellow card in another thoughtless act, and I'm being kind there. He's now suspended for the first leg of the League Cup semi-final against Spurs. So another opportunity there for Darwin to actually turn his form around goes out the window because of his own stupidity. Corbin said, think everybody will get an offer at the end of the week. I hope so, bro. I hope so. Ryan said, where's this one, Ryan? Sorry, bro, let me bring this up. Oh, yeah, I get that. Our transfer windows are dreadful, and the more we leave things, the more we leave it, the more things we have to do. FSG planning is terrible. Well, even if we're not blaming FSG on this one, Hughes has had more than enough time to figure this shit out and get his targets lined up. If we did nothing this window, it's a disgrace, said Dave LFC. I agree, David, sorry. I agree, mate. I think we need a midfielder. Look, others will argue left back, and I find it hard to argue against that. But at least for the left back position, we have 2 left backs. Now, we can talk about whether we're getting enough from them or not, and that's fair enough. But we just don't have what the manager feels is an acceptable alternative to Gravenberch. And that needs to be addressed. Corbyn said, my thinking is if Trent got one, others will follow. Yeah, I've always thought you might be right and stuff like that. You know, if there is one contract sorted, you hope the others will get resolved quickly. I think it's a fair point on that one. Will said, hi Craig, I'm done with this Trent contract rubbish. Yes, it's on FSG, but Trent is showing how unprofessional he is on the pitch, and Arne showed trust in him. So let me answer it a different way, Will, right? We all agree Trent was nowhere near it today. And we're all saying his head's turning and he's distracted. Let's be fucking blunt about this, you know? He has two £78 million offers on the table. Two contracts that are going to ensure he's a very wealthy man. And I find it very difficult to have sympathy for a fella who's 26 years of age, who has his boyhood club clamouring over him to give him £300,000 a week to keep him here, and Real Madrid with £300,000 a week in the other hand. I find it hard to have any fucking sympathy for somebody being distracted with that. Because that is a life and an opportunity and an amount of money that 99.999% of people on this planet will never get. So which multi-million pound contract offer I'm going to take is a very fucking selfish problem. Roger said, owners won't spend. They will say they won't let one game make them panic and hold their nerve, blah, blah, blah. I know, and it's nonsense. And they shouldn't panic over one game. But one game doesn't change the fact that the things that we've been talking about needing still need to be sorted. Darwin not suspended for Spurs, he's suspended for Forest. Well, that's not my understanding. And certainly not what I've seen posted and reported. Remember when Robbo got a suspension? His suspension was served in the League Cup. So Darwin's, to the best of my understanding, will be served in the League Cup. Tanya said, correct Craig, I'll play like an invincible for my boyhood club. Exactly. Like, there is no pressure on Trent. There's none. The pressure of, do I want to stay with my boyhood club that I grew up idolising, or do I want to go and play for the biggest club in world football? Oh, boo-hoo. What a dilemma. Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. You know what I mean? I find it hard to have sympathy with that being a problem for someone. The problem is that your immediate instinct isn't to stay with your club. That to me is the problem. Someone said Darwin suspended for the Forest game. So then answer me this. Why is every other suspension served in the League Cup? I believe he's suspended for the League Cup. But look, ultimately I don't really give a shit because I don't want them on the pitch one way or the other. So whether Darwin's suspended for Forest or whether he's suspended for Spurs, I don't want them on the pitch. So it's kind of irrelevant to me whether he's sitting on the bench for one game or the other. He shouldn't be near the pitch after another awful performance when he came on. And another stupid yellow card that was completely unnecessary. So it doesn't matter that it's a straight red. A suspension is a suspension and it's served, to my understanding. Look, again, I don't mind. What's do you mean toxic lad, Damien? What the you fucking gimp, go fuck yourself. Toxic lad. One, don't call me lad, you little gimp. And two, you've added nothing to the conversation. Toxic lad what? Toxic. I'm the one getting fucking blamed for this by a lot of Liverpool fans because apparently I was confident. How dare I be laughing at Arsenal? Oh, the cheek of me. The toxicity is coming from internally, mate. By Trent. That's where the toxicity is coming from. People thinking they're bigger and better than they are is a fucking problem. So, You think I'm toxic? Great. Answer me this. Why are you here? Why are you watching? It's weird, isn't it? You know, you don't like me, but yeah, here you are. See my point? Don't watch. Giannis said Slot's first bad game, sending Diaz against 3 centre-backs and subbing in both Jota and Nunez, and hollowing out further an already bad midfield at 1-1. And again, allowing Trent to stay on till 85 minutes. I don't get the thought process there. Yeah, look, I agree. I wasn't overly delighted with the changes and when they came. I would have liked Elliott on a bit earlier. I mean, I don't know how many more chances we gave Darwin to come on and do something, because he didn't again. Bradley Warren said, Craig, I love Darwin, but he's looking more like Balotelli every day. What happened? I don't know, because I'm in the I loved Darwin camp with you, bro. And I wanted him so badly to be a success, because what's the word I'm looking for here? A lot of him resonates with me. The emotional side, the self-destructions. Like, there's a lot of Darwin that I look at and think, I can totally relate to that guy. But it's just not working. And nothing I can say is going to change that at the moment. And I wish I was different. And I wish he was a success. But he's just not doing it. And we don't have the ability to carry 2 forwards out of 6. Because Chiesa is nowhere at the minute. And Darwin's been just getting nowhere. So I don't know what else to say. It's like we're playing with 4 forwards when we have 6 in the squad, and we're intentionally weakening ourselves with 2 of them. Sean said, it's okay if Trent comes out to say he'd like to keep things private, but he can't do that because he hides behind his agent. It's okay until it becomes a problem for the club, excuse me. And Sean, to my understanding, and certainly how I feel as a fan, is it is becoming a distraction to the club, because every question Arne Slot's getting asked now is about it, and the contracts, and the media inches, and the constant attacks on Liverpool from Madrid journalists and undermining of the club. You don't get to stay silent when the club that you grew up idolising and supporting is being rinsed through the media by one of the clubs coming after you. And you sit there and go, well, I'm keeping everything respectful. No, you're not. You're being a coward, which is what I've said all the way through. People don't like it, but I said he's acting like a coward. Grow a pair. Man up. If you want to go, go. But I tell you what, I'm going to say this bluntly. If that man got offered £300,000 and didn't sign the contract that second, he needs to fucking give his head a wobble, because he's not worth 300 grand. He should have bitten a hand off the club if that offer was given to him. And if he didn't, and if every instinct and fibre in his body wasn't to sign that contract, then bye-bye, because you clearly don't want to be here. And I can't get away from that. £300,000 a week to play it right back. And you have to think on it. After having 18 months to think about what you want to do next. I'm sorry, that should have been done and dusted in an hour after that offer came in. And the fact that it hasn't been, I think, speaks volumes. Now Bradley is back, I would drop Trent. So would I. At the very least, until his contract's resolved. But the question that I asked at the start of the stream, I think, is a very valid one. Let's say Trent comes out now and says he's going to Madrid in the summer. Are you trusting him between now and the summer? Really, like, hand on heart, are you trusting him between now and the summer? Because if today it's in his head, I can't not envision it's going to be in his head again. And like I've said, I don't think anybody, not just Trent, Anybody that knows that their next job is lined up and that they've got a big move away, I just don't see them leaving it all out there on the pitch. I just don't. Why is Chiesa not getting a run out? It's a valid question. You would assume, and we have to take it for granted, that if he's in the matchday squad, he's fit. You know, you don't get into a matchday squad. Fergal said, I trust him, he's still a Scouser. Where was his Scouser heart today, mate? Serious question. Where was the I want to play and battle for this shirt, I'm a Scouser heart up against not just the arch rivals, but even from a domestic perspective, even from the city's perspective, a rival? Where was the Scouse heart there? So, I look, and as I've said, I'm not making this decision. Arne Slot will make the decision. I just don't think you can trust anybody who's off at the end of the season to give 100% for you week in or week out. I'm not saying he won't be impactful. I'm not saying maybe he won't have good games. But ultimately, I have questions. And one of the biggest questions I have is, what if we get drawn against Madrid over 2 legs in the Champions League? The fuck do I believe that Trent's going to piss off the fans that he's going to next season by giving it 100% to knock them out? I'm sorry, I just don't. But that's just my opinion, and I don't expect everyone to agree with it. But I just, as always, I promise you one thing on here, and that's my honesty. The Bins said the league is ours to win or lose. We're winning the league, bro. Make no mistake, we're winning the league because nobody else is better than us. And people will say, oh, you dropped points today. But let's remember, so did the other 2 teams. Now, Forest, fair enough. Let's see if they last the pace. I don't think they will. But Arsenal dropped points this weekend. Chelsea dropped points this weekend. Manchester City are how many points behind us? 14 or 12, and we've a game in hand. So they're donezo. So we're winning the league, in my opinion. The concern I have now is for the other. What else can we add to it this season? Because I think we can stay focused enough to get over the line to win the league. But, you know, does another trophy slip out of our grasp because of all the distractions or a lack of signing or two? Nunez in the Premier League this season, goals and assists 4, yellow cards 5. Yeah, it's not the greatest for a roughly €100 million striker. The fact that Trent, he can do this, to not decide and not signing and potentially walk into the captaincy is a farce. We need to let him go, said the Bins. Stephen Gallagher said, is the Madrid move as prestigious these days? I guess in all these scenarios, Stephen, the answer is it depends on how each individual views it. You know, I would say naively perhaps that, you know, playing for the club you support and the club you grew up idolising should be more than enough when that same club are now very, very likely to be challenging for trophies for the foreseeable future. I don't know what he has to think about. I can't speak to what Trent thinks about with Madrid. I can't speak to whether it has the same allure or pull or not. But he does know a couple of things. He knows how others that have walked that same path as him have been treated once they've come back to the city. But it is his decision to make. I just want him to make it so we know where the hell we are. Yeah. That's all I can say. I just want it resolved because it's gone on too long. The engine Szoboszlai was missing today. So on that, Joe, you're right. But I'll be honest with you again. I would have started Curtis Jones based off his performance against West Ham, because he was flying. And I would have been wrong. And I would have been let down on the pitch. And I probably would have dragged him off and brought Szoboszlai on. But honestly, mate, I would have... You see my preview before we knew Dominic Szoboszlai was sick. I did put in Jones because I wanted to be fair to him. But then again, we get a similar Curtis Jones, don't we? Where we get a brilliant game or two, then drops off a little bit again. And, you know, we just don't get enough consistency there. So Yeah, not having Dom as an option today, I'm sure was one that the manager would have liked, but unfortunately he was unwell. We need to strengthen the defence big time. It's been woeful at crucial times. So on the defence, Nick. Okay, I'm going to ask you a question, chat, so bear with me. Okay, sorry, I had to kind of figure out how I wanted to word this. So I've asked this. Do you agree that both fullback sides are costing us this season? And I don't even want you to go in on any individual people, but I think our fullbacks in general, on both sides, have been an Achilles heel for us this season. And I wanted to see if people feel the same. And again, I'm not trying to scapegoat one player, because we've interchanged on the left and we've had different right backs at times. I just think they are an area that we are being targeted in. Monkstown Glass, how are you, my friend? Trent is leaving. Doesn't want to say because he wants to walk around with trophies at the end of the year. Load of bollocks. He can't. He's not going to be able to drag this out that long, surely, though, mate. He can't drag it out. It's time to shit or get off the pot now. Salah going to Saudi this month. He's not though, mate. So, you can go away. He's absolutely not going to Saudi this month. You know that, I know that, and everybody knows that. Because most importantly, if he did want to go to Saudi, why would he throw away a load of dough going now? It would make financial sense for him. Hey Craig, hope you're well. No offence, but what did everyone see in Nunez in the first season that give hope on him? I mean, I can only answer it for me, bro. And it's a fair question, but I just seen little bursts of explosiveness. And I think, in the Newcastle game last year, well, remember we were down to 10 men and he came off the bench and scored 2. You seen tiny glimpses of potential and raw talent. I was going to say brudishness but there are glimpses of it and we know he's capable of it. And that's all I can say. But you are right. We've not seen anywhere near enough consistency, but I think it's a combination of that and Liverpool fans wanting the best for their boys and wanting people to be a success. That's at least my answer for it, mate. Will said, save the £300,000. Bradley is a better defender. But look, I'm a big fan of Conor Bradley. I've always been honest and said I still think he's not the finished product. He's got a little way to go. And, he also has to stay fit because he's had some injury setbacks. But I feel like he has to start against Spurs midweek. Jacob said VVD was a good captain today, very aggressive. Yeah, I defo noticed the snarling at some of the players, and deservedly so, I should say. I'm not going in on Virgil for that. Yeah, Virgil knew that wasn't good enough. And actually, let's speak about Virgil today, because I've got some of his quotes here. So Virgil, speaking to the BBC after the game, said, it could have been a lot worse if we're absolutely honest with ourselves. They had a big chance at the end, and it could have been a lot worse than where we are now. I'm definitely disappointed with dropping points at home, but it is what it is, and we have to move on, and we will. We found the 2-1, and then it was about trying to manage the game and keep the ball for longer than 3 or 4 passes. We lost the ball too easily at times, and then we were more open than we should have been. We're not perfect, we're still learning, and we have to learn from this as well. I think that's a fairly honest assessment from Virgil. I agree with most of what he said there. I mean, and there is nothing they can do other than move on from it and try to learn from it, because you can't get the points back, you can't change the result of the game. So we need a response against Spurs. We need the boys to get back to winning ways. And we need to stop trying to give encouragement to the chasing pack. So I don't know where the media are going, by the way, because there's so many differing points about what game Darwin misses, by the way. I've seen the Echo say one thing, Sky say another thing. So I really don't know where we are with the Darwin suspension. But ultimately, it really shouldn't matter because he should be on the bench for the other game anyway. So, the detective said it's a tough situation with Trent. Announce he's leaving and everybody continues to monitor his every move and what happens. If he throws out more of these performances like today, other option is let him go. So, you remember what I said about human nature? And I said it about Trent or anybody else serving out a contract. It's also the same for us as fans. You're right. I agree with your statement. If he does say he's leaving at the end of the season, I know I'll be looking for every signal to say that he hasn't been doing it. I know I will, I'll be honest. I'll be looking to see, has his head dropped? Is he giving 100%? But I don't know how to answer that question without saying, I don't know what else I can do. You know, because it's his decision. And if he makes it, and if he doesn't make it, let's say, in this one, mate, if he tries to keep his cards close to his chest, excuse me, I think until we heard a bit about this offer late last night, I would have maybe had a bit more sympathy for Trent keeping stum and maybe trying to drag it out. I'd be concerned about it. But as soon as I heard that offer last night, as soon as I heard he was given an offer of £300,000 a week, I found it very hard to justify him not taking it or dragging it out, because I don't want the club to counter with another offer, because I think they've given him a very generous offer and one that is more than I think he deserves, but I'd rather he stayed than didn't stay. So I don't know what more he needs to do. And for me now, knowing that contract offer is there, the longer he stays silent, the more it becomes very, very clear that he's going. So I really don't think there's any winning in this situation for Trent if he's going to go. I think it's gotten to a point where however the going happens or however he leaves, it's at a point now where it's going to get toxic. It just is, in my opinion. I can't see how it doesn't. I think Darwin is just stealing a living. Need gone. I'm not going to disagree with you. For me, look, I'll be honest. If we take it for a fact that there's interest from AC Milan this month, and they're offering 5 million in a loan fee for Darwin and a 45 million euro guarantee, and I know that Omar Marmoush is available for 50 million euro in Frankfurt, it seems like a no-brainer to me to let Darwin go and join AC Milan with a guaranteed sale in the summer and bring in Omar Marmoush or somebody else and have it lined up. So let's see how it plays out. But I agree. There's no turning it around for me. I said it maybe a month ago with Darwin. It's just not going to work. It's just about how we manage the situation, I guess. Liam said, Nunez not a Liverpool player. Trent's head is in Madrid. Would take my chance and cash in this month after that performance. Will be good to see Chiesa possibly Wednesday or at the weekend. I wonder, will he end up going on loan to Italy? Because there's also some reports to suggest that there's some offers coming in for him from Italian clubs. Ego versus Shark said, mistakes are forgivable. A lack of desire is not. Yes, I agree with that. Everybody makes mistakes, but being perceived as not caring, I should say, is, it's inexcusable. Trent just needs to be overloaded. It'll break. By the way, it's 325 quid per week, 78 million for 5 years. It's not. It's £300,000 per week. I'll do the math for you again, just in case I am wrong. So, 78 million quid. So 78 million divided by 5, which is the 5 years, gives us 15.6 million. Divide that by 52 for every week, and you get exactly 300 grand. So it's 300 grand. So yeah, I'm pretty confident my maths on that's correct, because I've ran the numbers a few times, and it's always come up with 300 grand. Are we talking net? No, we're talking gross. Gross. So yeah, 78 million. Divide that by 5. That gives you his yearly rate. Divide that by 52. That gives you his weekly rate, and it comes up as 300 grand. And the reason I'm probably so stubborn about this is because, God, if it was 325, I'd be even more annoyed, to be honest with you, mate. I hear they're going to go bid for Anthony Robinson. No, they won't. It's the wrong move, because you're replacing somebody with somebody who's not much younger and who's going to cost you 40 million quid. It's just not the right move, Anthony Robinson. It just doesn't make sense. He's 28 at his next birthday. It just doesn't make sense. It would just be... That would, to me, would just feel like we're panicking. So I hope we don't sign Anthony Robinson, because it would be an escape from the way we usually do business, and it wouldn't make any sense. He's a good player, by the way. Don't get me wrong on that one. I think he was voted US Men's National Team Player of the Year. But I've not been once given any indication that there's any interest there in him because of his age. If he was 3 years younger, I'd be screaming for us to go and get him. Liam, have I done this one? I was also at the match today. Fans were shouting, "Get him off the pitch," including myself. The longer this saga goes on, the worse it's going to get for him. In my eyes, he haven't helped himself. So, let me just go back to my notes here, Liam, while I have you there talking about it as a match-going fan. Lewis Steele, journalist who was at the game, posted this while at the game, Liam. I don't know if you've seen this. A fan just to the right of the press box shouts after that goal went in, which was United's first goal, "If you don't want to be here, Trent, fuck off." So I think your feeling, Liam, is one that's been echoed by a lot of fans who were at the game, and fans like me who weren't at the game, who just feel that, sorry, I need to get, yeah, that defending just wasn't good enough and the effort just wasn't there. Joe Marsland, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC. Joe, thank you. Right, I've asked you guys to vote on the poll, and it's exactly 1,000 votes. That's freaky. So we asked, do you think both fullbacks are costing us this season, or both fullback sides are costing us this season? And 86% said yes, 13% said no. And look, again, I'm not looking to scapegoat one player there, but I do feel both sides have been gotten at this season for differing reasons. So I think the 325 maths is 78 million, 60 months, and then divide that by 4, which makes 48 months a year. And Craig, you worked out 52 weeks. I know. People just divided it by 4 and thinking there's 4 weeks in a year, but there are 4 weeks in a month. There isn't 4 weeks in a month. If you did it that way, then you end up having a 48 week month or a week year. So my maths is 100% correct. Like, it is one thing in my life I'm very good at, is numbers. So I was always confident my 300k was right, because the only way to do it is, like I said, divide it by 5 to get the yearly rate and divide that by 52. Easiest way of doing it. But look, either way, I think we'll all agree it's probably too much money, or it's a lot of wedge. I've got some good news. At least I hope you guys feel it's good news. I certainly feel it's good news. The Mirror reported that Johnny Heidinga is set to reject the West Brom job and remain as Arne Slot's number 2 at Liverpool, which I certainly see as a good thing, and I'm very grateful that he is sticking with Arne Slot, because Heidinga has been a head coach before, will probably be a head coach again. So yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm glad he made that choice, and I think, the manager will be as well, because he brought him in as his number 2 along with Sipka Hulshoff, and yeah, good news, that one. I was worried when I heard that they'd come in from, because obviously it's very tempting to go and become a head coach then, but I like that he's committed to the manager for the rest of the campaign, and spot on. How much would you give Virgin Mo if they wanted a raise? My initial point with Salah was I don't want to give him or Virgil a raise. I'd renew it over 2 or 3 years. But honestly, with how well they've both played this season, I could probably go 50 grand extra. So 400 grand a week for Mo over 2 extra years. So 2.5 years to go, with an option of a third that the club can trigger. I feel that would be fair. With Virgil, I don't, off the top of my head, remember his weekly wage is a 220, something like that for Virgil. Again, bump it up a little bit to 250, maybe something like that. But ultimately, I feel the longer you drag it out and the longer it goes on, and the closer you get to these guys leaving on a free, the more likely you are to have to overpay. So, yeah, I don't know. See, it's hard because I don't know the offers that have gone out to Virgil and Mo. I don't know the numbers. We know the Trent offer because it's been leaked and confirmed by a lot of the media, so we know that offer. And that, to me, is a very fair offer from the club. In fact, I would say a generous offer from the club. Super Heavy Live said, to the poll, no, look at the results this season. The right backs were vital in half the goals. Most of Trent's crosses go completely unrecognised. If it doesn't get the assist, the accuracy is mad and we need him. But he's a right back. And with all due respect, I'm not trying to say he hasn't contributed this season, but we haven't exactly been short of goal scorers or an ability to score goals this season. Our fullbacks, when I say, do you think they've cost us this season? I'm talking about from a defensive standpoint, because it's where we're being targeted, and I think, personally, we've been most vulnerable. But again, I respect another opinion. We don't always have to agree, my man. What would you do with Trent in January? You don't want my answer, because nobody will agree with my answer. My answer, honestly, would be, Trent, you've got 72 hours to tell us whether you want to stay or leave. If you don't want to stay at the club, then I'd take the 20 million quid and I'd sell him. But as I said, I fully expect everybody else to think differently on it, because I'm very much a case of I want everybody in pulling in the same direction, that wants to be here for the long-term future. And if you don't want to be here, I don't want you here off your pop. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm answering your honest question. What would I do with him in January? I give him 72 hours to accept the offer, and if he doesn't do it, I take the money from Real Madrid and sell him. But yeah, look, I am more spiteful than other people may be, so I would expect other people to feel differently, and I understand that. I totally understand it. Cooper said, I just want to stop and say, Craig, I believe you can get 10 million subscribers, man. Don't stop with that silliness. Do you know what I mean? It's look, I didn't ever think I'd get here, mate. So I'm extremely grateful for the subscribers we have. And do you know what? Maybe even outside chance of hitting 1 million someday. I'm not going to rule it out, because I didn't think we'd get to this point. So, you know, who knows? But I tell you this, my man. I love you all to bits. And I'm so grateful for the platform you've given me and the trust you place in me and the support you show me. You know, and that means a lot to me, and I try to repay that and make sure that I don't take that for granted at any point. But yeah, thank you, man. I don't know where we end up, but sure, it's a fun trip, it's a fun journey to be here, and I'm extremely grateful to be here with you all, and thank you. Right, what else was I going to say? Nope, I'll just move on. There was something else I wanted to say there, but it's escaped me. As a club, we love to create our own issues every year. Even when all is going well, we find a way to try and mess up contracts. Inept transfer committees, FSG love to win on the cheap. It's like you went into my head, Tony, and you wrote a post, bro. Because I agree with every damn word you've written there, my man. Every single word of it. It's so avoidable, a lot of this. And I guess I should explain why I'm so ruthless about Trent and stuff, right? It's because I played a lot of sport growing up, and I was in a lot of teams, and I grew up and played through most of my young footballing career in the same team with the same group. And every single one of those lads on that team were like brothers to me. Every single one of them. Still keep in contact with them to this day. Still love them all dearly. Still would have went out there and taken a punch or died for any one of them on the pitch. And that's the buy-in that you need, for me, in a group, in a team. You can't have people not pulling in the same direction. You can't give an inch. You can't let these things fester. You can't let it become and create a problem. You have to be ruthless. You have to be tough. And if people don't want to be here, you have to say bye-bye. That's just the way I am as a person. That's just the way I'm built. And I'm the same in my personal life. If my mates or anything have any issues with me, or don't like something about it, alright, fuck off then. It just is what it is. But I also trust my judgment of human nature, and I know that humans are inherently selfish, and I know that this situation with Trent has been made worse by his actions. Who do you think will sign a contract first, Salah, Verge, or Trent? I mean, I don't know, but I would hope Verge seems the easiest to get done. So I'd guess with him, perhaps. But it's hard to say that knowing that I know Trent has a 300 grand offer on the table, because the answer should be that should be signed tomorrow. If you want to stay here, that's the offer I think you're holding out for, because that is a pretty damn good offer. So it should be Trent. If we have to get a right back and left back in January, who would you want to come in? On the right back, I'll be honest with you and say I don't know. I haven't thought about it, because I never thought Trent would actually leave. I felt he probably would, but I was ignorant, and I just wanted to believe he'd stay, as much as every other part of me was saying I think he's off. So I'll be honest with you on that one, say I don't know. On the left side, I think there are certainly options out there that we've been linked with. Kirkes is one of them, of course, but how do I? I'm not as fearful if we don't get a left back as I am if we don't get a midfielder. And I'm not saying that's the right feeling, but the deficiency for me has been around not getting that defensive midfielder in and overplaying Gravenberch, because I think it'll have a knock-on effect if Ryan gets injured or overplayed. So I just want the midfielder, and I think we can make the rest work. With the left backs, if something becomes available, great. But we also have to remember that the club aren't going to bring in another left back and carry two more in Robbo and Costas. They won't. So one of them has to leave. So if all of that lines up, yeah, left back shouldn't be out of the question, but I'm just not expecting it until the summer. Will said, we're top of the league, best team in Europe, 300,000 for a right back. What's the hold up? When you put it like that, Will, I don't know, bro, because you're right. We're top of the league. And we're going to win the league. I'm absolutely 100% certain we're winning the league. But I don't know about the rest. Would you take Chilwell? No, I wouldn't. I'll tell you the honest answer about Chilwell. See, someone says don't jinx it. It's not me jinxing it. It's me having confidence in the team. I don't believe in jinxes. I don't believe in them, good or bad. So why are people afraid of being confident? Why are you so weak-minded that you're afraid to be confident. My confidence is based off the fact that we're top of the fucking league. I'm not living in delusion here. We're top of the league for a reason. And the teams in and around us aren't any better than us. So that's where I'm confident, and that's why I said we're going to win the league, because I think we're the best team currently in the league. And if I was playing in this team, I'd be telling them in the dressing room that we're going to win the league. But I don't know. I find it weird that people want to have a go at me about being confident. I don't know why the mindset of not being confident. You should be confident if you're good enough, and we are. Because we were top last season as well, mate. Right, now let's touch on that because it's a fair point. Who won the league last season? Was it Arsenal? No. It was Man City, right? And what have I always said this season? If Man City were chasing us and Man City were peak Man City, I'd feel a little bit differently about this. But it isn't Man City chasing us, and they aren't going to make up that point, and they will drop more points. So let's talk about why we fell apart last season. Is that we overplayed players at times. They ran themselves into the ground and we were overachieving. This year, we're more balanced, a different manager, and it's Arsenal that are chasing us, not Man City. And Arsenal are not Man City. They just don't. They don't have it. They aren't it. And they've shown no signs of being able to run a 10-12 game win streak. They haven't gone a month this season without dropping points. So for all of these things to happen and us to collapse, there needs to be a successor to the throne, and there isn't one. So that's the difference for me between this season and last season, is Arsenal aren't Man City, and they're not going to do what City are capable of doing, which is grinding out win after win. Because we've been on the end of it. We've dropped points in a title race at Man City, a draw, and you're going, that's it, that's us, fecked. Because you know what they're capable of. They're this big bad winning machine that just grind out teams and win and win and win and win and win and win and win. But that's not Arsenal. Arsenal are perennial bottlers. The manager is, the players are, the fans are. This is just how I see them. It's Arsenal. Galileo Beast said, is Arnold likely to leave in January or not? I would be very, very, very surprised if he left in January, mate. I mean, as much as I have my own say on it, I'm almost certain he's not going anywhere. The one thing I really didn't like about Klopp last season was he never tried Gakpo in his preferred spot. Fair point. I don't know. Look, if we fall apart this season and we don't win the league, then look, I guess people are going to come and have a pop at me. But just remember, if we do, and I just don't be afraid of being confident in your life in general. You don't have to be arrogant. You know, I'm not saying things like we're going to beat everyone 5-0 and we're all amazing and we don't have any problems and we can't improve on things. But, we have a big sample size now. Like our manager said, we're halfway now through a season. Let's look at the league table, and the league table looks very good for us. And look into the math of it. I think we could all agree that Arsenal aren't going to go unbeaten and win every game in the second half of the season, right? If you're with me on that to this point, that Arsenal are not going to win 19 games between now and the end of the season, right? Even if you're giving me a draw or two. That then means if we win a game in hand against Everton, that we have to lose 3 games and then draw another X amount, and Arsenal have to be nearly perfect. It's just not going to happen. Because they also have difficult games, and they have to come to Anfield, they have to play City again. They have their own games that are going to be difficult. And they're dropping points against Brighton and other teams that they should be beating. So, again, that's why I'm so confident. Craig, if Darwin leaves and we need a striker, do you think we'll sign Marmouche? I think we should, but there have been reports that City have made a move for him, that the City have spoke with his camp. There's even some reports in Egypt to say that they think the deal will happen. So I don't know on that one. We'll have to wait and see. Apparently City are close to signing him. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know what we have to wait and see there if that happens. The one that's going to really, 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 really annoy me is if Zubamendi goes elsewhere. That'll wind me up no end. Thank you, Mahmood. Appreciate you, bro. Julio Soler joins Bournemouth. Yes, so there's two ways to look at that, Finster, right? You can look at the Julio Soler going to Bournemouth thing and think that maybe that's a sign that Kirkes is available. But also, you could look at it another way, as David Lynch pointed out to me in fairness, and think that they're giving him time to bed in before they move Kirkes on in the summer, and then they have somebody who's far more up to speed in the Premier League. So I guess you can look at it either way. Angie, how are you, my friend? Craig Madrid spoke to Trent and Davies in the summer and told both to drag out their contracts until January and they can get both for free. I absolutely have no doubt whatsoever that what you've said there is correct, Angie. Yeah, fully believe every word you've written there was absolutely true. And I guess the thing I would say is Liverpool have to be tougher in this situation, Angie, and deal with it more strongly. Now, what I will also say is that contract offer that's gone across to Trent, it should be a very clear indication to Trent that he's wanted by the club. So now it's on him. Now the ball is pushed back into Trent's court and Trent needs to make a decision. And that decision needs to be made quickly. Because to me, if he needs to think on this for more than 2 days, he's gone. His head's not in it. Because he should be snapping their hand off for that contract. He should be signing it tonight before he leaves the stadium. Is Liverpool abiding by FFP? Yeah, I think we're alright in that one, Owen. Yeah, I think we're alright, bro. I don't think the big spending sprees that we're going on... Oh, no, wait. We don't, because we've got FSG. Mohammed, how are you, my friend? Said, I've seen fullbacks from so-called smaller teams show more fight and aggression than our fullbacks. So passive in defending. It's weird because I struggle to admit the words passive and Robbo in the same sentence, because there's one thing Robbo hasn't been over the years is passive, but we're not seeing the same Robbo, so I get where you're coming from. Mark Fitchin, how are you, Mark? I hope you're well. Happy New Year to you as well. Said, if Madrid watched him today, Craig, do you think they'll want him? What price after that performance? Well, if I was Madrid, Mark, and I was watching on today and I seen Trent's performance, I'd be more concerned with thinking, now we can come in and undermine the situation even more, because now Liverpool fans are on his back. Now is the time for us to play the, we love you, we're here for you. And I'd be showing him a load of sympathy and telling him that life would be so much better in Madrid and he wouldn't have the glare of the media and the expectation of the local fans and all the other shit that won't be true, by the way. But I'd be using it to cozy up to him and get in his ear if I was Madrid. So yeah, I actually think it'll probably go even further the other way, Mark, that they will use this to jump on the situation more and try and get in between Liverpool and Trent even more so. Craig, I think Conor Bradley is a better defender than Trent, do you? As a defender, yes. Doesn't have all the attributes Trent has in the upper end of the pitch and with his range of passing and stuff, but as a defender, solely, yes. David Newell said, one way of looking at it is 16 more wins and it doesn't matter what anybody else does. Love it. Love it, David, because you're damn right, mate. That's the attitude to have, because nobody else can do a damn thing about it then at that point. What's this one? So this report here said loan interest in Tyler Morton and Jayden Danns. Decision yet to be made on their futures. Sheffield United among admirers of Morton. Plymouth, Cardiff inquired over Dan's availability. Strong competition. Should they get the green light? Interesting. It's a lot of us have been asking what's the best thing to do there with Jayden Danns for the remainder of the campaign, and a loan's probably the right answer. But if we're about to be loaning out Chiesa or whatever, I guess you got to reevaluate that situation in a little bit again. You'll never walk alone 2.0 said Slot gave Trent 82 minutes. Player power is scary. Bench. I think he gave him 84, 85 minutes if I'm not mistaken. But I can't tell you why Slot didn't take him off. I can't say it's definitely player power, mate. I don't know, but I can tell you we should have been taken off a lot quicker. Do you see us making any more signings in this window, or any signings in this window? I wouldn't confidently sit here and say yes or no, and that's the truth. I don't know. I hope so. The window may have to evolve a little bit for us to see the lay of the land, but I don't think I could. Yeah, I can't rule it in or out. I don't know. If you're pushing me, I'll always lean towards no under these owners, but yeah, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I feel comfortable in saying that if we do make a move, it won't be a planned move that we had up our sleeve for the last 6 months. It will be something reacting to something else. I feel comfortable enough with that part. A serious question needs to be asked. Should Kelleher start instead of Alisson so we didn't get so many goals when he was in goal? Well, in my match reaction today, my player ratings, I spoke about Alisson. And I definitely didn't feel he was as assured as I'm used to. Now, he did make a good save in the first half, one-on-one with Højlund. But he's punching balls that I want him to be catching. Because he's given second ball opportunities to teams by punching them out to the edge of the box when some of them are really straightforward catches. That's concerning me a bit with him. Do you think Liverpool can go for 90 million Bellingham to replace him? I don't want Bellingham near the club now, to be honest with you. And not out of bitterness that he didn't come. I don't like what I'm seeing of him since he's gone to Madrid. I don't know Jude Bellingham, of course. I don't know him personally. But he looks like he's got that Madrid entitlement very quickly over there. And by the way, it wasn't just today, Kono, that I was noticing it with Alisson. The last few games, he's been punching stuff I think he should be catching. Craig, did you see Carragher say, why would Trent want to leave? Yeah, he's right. Anybody who says that's right. There's no logical reason for Trent to want to go. Because the others who tread the path before him, the McManamans, the Michael Owens, they were leaving a Liverpool that weren't competing. Trent's leaving a Liverpool that will be top of the league and has been unbeaten in the Champions League this season. In fact, not just unbeaten, won every game in the Champions League. So it's hard to push back on anybody who said, why would he want to leave? It just doesn't make sense to me. Mohammed said, I think Alisson should have done better with the second goal. I agree. I don't think it's his fault by any stretch of the imagination. You know, you can talk about the space on the right-hand side, not getting the block in on the cross, allowing the players to run past the ball, and then it kind of trickles back into Ahmad. But yeah, the finish was weak, and, you know, maybe he could have done better with it. Trent had no passion for the biggest game of the season. Yep. No notes on that one, mate. You're right. Did you hear about Darwin and Trent had to be pulled apart in the changing room? No? Didn't. It doesn't seem like a fair fight, that one, though, to be fair. I'd imagine Darwin would slap him around the room very quickly, to be honest. Nut the Nerd said, just want to say thank you for what you're doing on this channel, Craig. Greetings from another LFC fan with Asperger's. Thank you, bro. Yeah, do you know what? Finding out that I was on the autism spectrum and I had Asperger's was like such a weight off my shoulders. It made so many things in my life make so much more sense. But yeah, thank you, bro. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for that. The world has changed. Not many players stay forever in one club, especially if he's been here for 20 years and won everything. Not a surprise if he wants to try something different. And that's fair enough, mate. But come out and say it. You owe that. You know? And I've said this all the way through. I think anybody who said they couldn't understand the attraction of Madrid to certain footballers would be a liar. But I don't like the stringing along bit. Just come out and say it. Deal with it. Be honest with the fan base if you want to try something new. Because the longer you don't speak, I think the more toxic and the more crap you're going to get. It's raining, the ball is slippery. Right. You know you're talking to a goalkeeper, right? And also, I wasn't just talking about today. As I pointed out many times when I said that about Alisson. He did it against West Ham. He's done it in previous games. He's just punching shit that he should be catching. And you know goalkeepers' gloves, right? You know why goalkeepers spit on those gloves, don't you? It's to make them grip the ball more. So a wet ball in a goalkeeper's hands, going to catch it, it doesn't actually make any difference if the ball's wet. Now, stuff sliding off the surface makes a difference to you when you're getting down to make a save. But goalkeepers spit in their hands for a reason. And it's to make the glove stickier. So going to catch a wet ball, I'm sorry, you can catch them all day long and it ain't slipping out of your hands. And I say that as a goalkeeper. Do you know what's happening with Alisson next season? That's really coming in? Nope. I expect him to stay, by the way. You know, Alisson himself has said he's going to see out his contract at Liverpool, and then he spoke about going back to Internacional over in Brazil in the future. So he has 2 years to go at the end of this season, but I don't know what the plan is between him and Mamardashvili, or who's ahead of who or whatever. I don't know. I don't think anybody knows that at the minute. Nick, how are you, bro? And thank you again, mate, for your super chat. Really kind of you. Said Slot saying the reason for Trent's poor performance was because of face Dalot and Fernandez and not about the rumours. I'm not buying this, and I think that Slot is weighing up his options for a potential replacement for him. So I didn't buy it either, Nick. And I think it was very telling that he said 9 out of 10 other people will probably say differently, because deep down he knows that Trent's head wasn't in it today. But he has to defend him because he's the manager and he doesn't want to throw his player under the bus. Now, I don't know if that means he's weighing up other options or whatever. I don't know. But I didn't believe that when he came out with it and said that he doesn't think that the situation got in Trent's head today. I just don't believe. He's an intelligent man, and I just don't believe that he actually thinks that. If you're getting smoked by Dalot, you've got a problem. Dalot had a good game, in fairness to him, he did. Our players' heads are going because of the pressure around contracts. Our players. One player. Like, the team didn't play well today, don't get me wrong. And you can talk about the tempo and the fight and the determination, all that other stuff. But one player out there's head went today, more so than others. And it was the man at the centre of the biggest contract headache. Benedict said, Craig, do you think we'll win the title and also love the channel? Mate, I'm absolutely convinced we win the league. And today hasn't done anything to change my opinion on that. Because ultimately, when all is said and done and the smoke settles, we're as we were going into another game week. Nobody in between Arsenal and Chelsea gained points on us this week. So, you know, it's another match week ticked off, and we've got, 19 more games to go. And as David said in the chat, we win 16 games of them, and there ain't a damn thing anybody can do about it. So yeah, I'm very, very confident we go and win the league. But I do agree with a lot of people who have concerns about what may have been a season where we could have dreamt about a double. That has more concern. I've more concern now for the Champions League. I've more concern for other stuff. But I do think we'll get the job done in the league, yes. Trent had a bad day at the office. We all have them. The weather was terrible. The pitch was terrible. All just put in a bad day at the office. Oh, all right, mate. Sure, no problem. You're entitled to your opinion, Andrew, and thank you. I just don't believe in coincidences personally, bro. You know, but again, I appreciate your input, Andrew. Thank you. Eagle v Shark said 72 hours for trying to make a decision. Can't let a player derail a promising season. You're either with us or against us. 72 hours, the end. Well, yeah. To me, that's a very fair contract offer. And you got to take it or leave it. You know, you shouldn't need to be talked into accepting 300 grand a week as a right back, but it is what it is. Look, I'm going to say goodnight, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to go record a transfer news video and a few other bits of news that I haven't been able to get through on the stream because I was making sure I could interact with you guys as much as possible. So that is going to come out in the next 20 minutes or so keep an eye out. Mohammed, last super chat came in before I finished, so you just caught it, mate. Is it just me, or does it seem that recently we've been conceding very weak and certainly avoidable goals? Definitely. Some very messy goals, Mohammed, that could have been avoided. And in a weird way, that's kind of almost a good thing because we can figure it out, you know, in a weird way. But look, thank you all again for dropping in tonight. Thank you to our sponsors, Surfshark as well. Do scan the QR code in the bottom right hand corner there if you're thinking of getting yourself a Surfshark subscription. Again, our offer gets you up to 4 months additional free. And thank you so much to you all for coming back on tonight and joining me. Lots of stuff on the channel tomorrow. Recording with David Lynch. A news video will be coming out, and of course a stream tomorrow night. Much love to you all. We'll get back to winning ways hopefully midweek. First leg of the League Cup semi-final coming up against Spurs. And then it's the FA Cup against Accrington Stanley. Much love, everybody. Thank you for joining me.